Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Goody Life, where life is good and everything is great. I'm Dr. Goody, and the Goody Life is all about finding motivation, inspiration, and self growth in all different aspects and areas of your life. And as you already know, the Goody Life focuses on 5 areas of growth. And we are currently focusing on relationships. So the last couple of videos on relationship, we looked at relationship with yourself. So if you've missed those videos, I will link them below. It's where I talk about how to develop a healthy relationship with yourself through building your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth, self-value, and self-love. Now, as you're working on those areas and you're growing in those areas, you're going to start to notice a difference and change with people around you. So now we're going to move into relationship with others. That means your intimate partner, your immediate family, your friends, your co-workers, how to have a healthy relationship with them, and how to identify a toxic one and either work on making changes there or probably at times letting go of some of those relationships completely. Again, each area, when I talk about it, it's about, I want to say we go a month and a half to 2 months into that specific area. So for example, how we're talking about relationship, we're looking at different categories. So the first part we look at was relationship with yourself. We broke those down into a couple of videos. And now we're going to look into having a happy and healthy relationship with others. So those videos go into a good month and a half to 2 months in each areas as we talk about it. And as we wrap up talking about relationship in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be moving into my favorite area that I love to talk about. So more to come in that in the future. But let's get started right away into today's topic: building a healthy relationship with others and 4 toxic traits and behavior to be watchful for and eliminate out of your day-to-day life to have a healthier version of yourself and to surround yourself with healthy and happy people. And right before we get into this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and also turn on the notification bell so I bring videos weekly. So once I put one up, you will be the first to get notified about the video. And also, please give me a thumbs up. That way I get some feedback from you, and also drop me a comment. So as you have been working the last few weeks on yourself, working towards building your self-esteem, your self-confidence, developing that great self-love, I mentioned you will notice some changes around you. You will start to see, okay, maybe some of the people you're hanging out with, spending time with, is not helping you in that growth, or vice versa. And there's 4 behaviors that we want to be watchful for. Again, the Goody Life is all about personal growth and development. And part of personal growth and development is being honest with yourself. Now, these 4 things that I'm going to be talking about, we've all done it. So it's not only the people we interact with that's possibly doing it. We have also been guilty of participating in these types of behavior. Chances are, if you have a group of people who follow and practice these toxic behavior, chances are you have done it yourself. And that's why the company and the circle of people in your life have those type of a traits and those type of a behavior. So what are these 4 toxic behaviors to be aware of and get rid of from your life? Gossiping, conflicts, complaining, and draining. These are 4 things that when you participate in it, be it whether you're doing it or someone else is engaging with this type of conversation to you, you end up leaving with a headache, a migraine, feeling so tired, as if you have done so much, which you really haven't. You may have just been engaging in these types of a behavior that end up making you feel very tired and drained out, and if you keep feeling that way day after day, you can really add to some unhealthy lifestyle and unhealthy pattern to your day-to-day life, which can spur out in a variety of different ways when it comes to your health and to your personal growth and development. So eliminating these or figuring out how to change these are very important. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the first two, which is draining and complaining. The reason why is because, as I mentioned to you, the personal growth and development has to do with yourself. So we all have to be honest and admit, have we done these things before? So if someone is complaining a lot, be it if it's yourself, you will feel drained. Not only are you draining the other person, but you yourself feel tired out of those conversations. So what exactly is complaining? Complaining is you'll find yourself when you're in conversation with your intimate partner, your family members, your friends, your co-workers. You will find yourself talking a lot about how things are going wrong in your life or how nothing is working out. You're always like a Debbie Downer, always bringing yourself down, or you're always bringing the situation around you down. So that's you complaining about life itself. So being aware if you're someone that does that, again, we're all guilty of this some phase or some part of our life. It's about making the changes that you want to see for yourself. That leads to someone end up feeling drained. The person who's hearing the conversation tend to feel very tired, and you will notice, one of the way you would notice this, if you have healthy friends or you have people that when you complain a lot, they avoid your company, they avoid your text messages, they avoid anytime you ask them to hang out, they're like, no, I'm busy. It's a sign that possibly that you may be doing a lot of the complaining part to where they're feeling drained. So again, complaining is more where you are bringing a situation about yourself or around you very much so down, and you're draining yourself and you're draining the other person to where you feel tired, you have a headache, you just don't feel healthy in general. So those are the first two you want to be aware of. And how do you make changes to those? Well, again, if you watch my last couple of videos where I talked about building your self-esteem and self-confidence, they talk a lot about how to develop yourself. And once you have people who tends to have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, they don't have any self-love for themselves, they don't have any good habits, they're the one who tend to complain a lot. So building on those things would be important. So those videos, if you miss them, do look back at them on how to build your self-confidence and self-esteem to help you to grow away from complaining. Also, being aware of your communication style. There's a lot of resource out there. There's 4 different styles of communication: passive aggressive communication, and then there's assertive. The one we aim for is assertive. Most of the time, if someone is a passive communicator, they do tend to complain sometimes. If you're an aggressive, you come off much more in a harsh way to someone. And a passive aggressive person is someone who tries the quiet way, then they try the aggressive way if it doesn't work, and they go back and forth. But what you want to aim for is assertive communication. So when you're working on building your self-esteem and self-confidence, you want to find out what type of communication style do you have, because that's going to be very, very important when it comes to having a happy and healthy relationship with people around you. It will really be important when it comes to picking your mate, to identifying your peers that you want to spend time with and to grow with in the future. Because if you're an aggressor, no one would want to communicate with you. If you're passive, like I said, chances are you may be complaining a lot, or passive aggressive go both back and forth. So one of the things you'd want to look up and work on is the types of communication that's out there and how to improve those communication style, how to improve and get to assertive communication style. If you would like me to do a video on the types of communication, comment below and I can also put something like that together. But that would be the first step, focusing on building your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and then learning how to be an assertive person when it comes to communicating. So then that way you are building a healthy communication line with people around you, and you're starting to increase a healthy relationship with your family and friends. Because being able to communicate assertively means that you're able to say how you feel, what your needs are, what your likes are, what your dislikes are. You'll be able to communicate that in an effective way. The other thing that you'd want to look up and learn a little bit about is how to handle constructive criticism. So this is also, it helps to prevent gossiping and conflicts, which we'll get into in a bit. But it also helps with the complaining factor, because when someone gives you feedback, you need to learn how to handle those feedbacks. So learning how to handle constructive criticism and knowing how to give that, because if you are an aggressor, you can't handle that type of feedback and you cannot give that type of feedback. So you're going to go right into that complaining mode. So looking up these subject matter and learning a little bit about it is important. Again, if you guys would like to know more details on those, let me know and I can do a video actually just talking about communication style. The next two toxic behavior that you really want to avoid when it comes to having a healthy relationship with people is gossiping and conflicts. Now, these can go hand in hand. This tends to happen a lot with your coworkers or even with your family member. So gossiping basically is when someone talks about someone else to another person. So this can happen between coworker, and this can really lead to conflicts. Sometimes actual physical fight when it comes to family members. If this person said this about this person and then that person took it back to the other person, it can end up leading to altercation, to where people don't talk for years, when instead this could have been handled a completely different way. Relationship could have been maintained and everyone could have actually be able to carry themselves in a better manner. Being careful of gossiping with coworkers or with family members is very important. So how do you identify this pattern? When you're sitting in the break room, are you guys talking about somebody who's not in that room? And is it a negative thing that you guys are saying? The person who's saying it to you, or whether you're saying it to the person? Or same thing with family members. Are you guys talking about someone who's not there in a negative way? Those would fall under gossiping. Now, how does that lead to conflict? If one person go back and say it to the person itself, that can bring in a huge conflict. These are things that really shows that someone is in a toxic relationship or they have very unhealthy style of communication. So changing that up will make an improvement in your relationship with your coworkers, in relationship not just with your coworker, but in a sense, everyone who have healthy communication style or who don't do these types of behavior tends to get promoted at the job, tends to climb the ladder in the workforce. With your family member, you tend to have a much more healthier relationship. When you're at family parties, family gathering, people love to have you around. You love to be around because you don't feel like you're part of any kind of a conflict or any kind of a toxic conversation. So these are some of the things that actually benefit you when you do not participate in gossiping and conflicts in the workplace or with your family. Getting a bit more in-depth and sharing a little bit personal story also when it comes to gossiping and what that can look like. As silly as this may sound, sometimes people do this based on their culture or not just their culture, but as almost like a survival mechanism. But it shouldn't be a survival mechanism. I remember growing up, and in the evening, all the ladies will get together and they will just chit chat. And as kids, we would be playing around them. And I remember something like, you run past these people and the conversation was always about somebody who wasn't there. Most of the time they're talking about whose husband is sleeping with who or whose wife is doing what. And it was always about someone who wasn't there at that moment. And even though I was so young, I was so small, something didn't settle or didn't feel right on the inside when I would hear these conversations. I was too young to put it together. I carried on playing, but something didn't settle or feel right for me with that type of a conversation that I would go by hearing. And it, as I said, we've all done this though. I have done it. We've all been guilty of each and every one of these behaviors, these 4 toxic behaviors that I'm talking about. And I remember when it made a huge difference and change in my life. I was in my community college when a professor once shared a story about how she stopped gossiping. That she was actually gossiping to someone about someone else, and that person walked in and saw her doing that. And she felt so bad that she made it a personal choice to not gossip anymore. I have always disliked this type of a behavior, but it was in that moment and that clarity that I decided, you know what? I'm also not going to participate in such behavior. That when I'm with my friends, if they're talking about someone else, I'm either going to leave the scenario or change the topic. And I'm definitely going to be so much more watchful of what I say about someone else. So how do you prevent these things? 1, being watchful of the circle of people that you're with. Making sure that you're not the one starting the gossip or talking about someone else. 2, if someone else is doing it, either being able to stop that situation from happening by changing the topic, or maybe avoiding that conversation. Sometimes avoiding the conversation by leaving is one way, but if people don't pick up or change that over time, you may have to end up not having that conversation or being in a scenario where those people are who gossip all the time. But the first thing you want to do though is try to set that standard and boundaries for yourself to avoid it. Once you avoid the gossip, conflicts will naturally not be there. Because if you're not participating in it, if you're not being a part of it, chances are conflicts shouldn't arise out of it. So you should be able to completely eliminate that without even having to deal with it or manage it. So again, all 4 of these, the way it can impact you is that you feel very tired. You can lose a lot of friendships and family members through it. The conflicts can cause to where you don't talk to people for years. But the benefit of making these changes for you is you can have a healthier relationship with your partner. You can have a healthier relationship with your immediate family, your extended family, your co-workers. You can see yourself getting promoted at your job. People will love to be around you if you do not participate in being complaining or being a drainer or gossiping or conflicts. People will enjoy your company. You're also going to really be engaging with people at that level and that frequency where they do not do these types of behavior. So when you walk out of the conversation, there are some health benefits there. You don't have a headache. You don't feel sick. You don't feel tired. You actually walk out feeling really, really good from that conversation. You can't wait to meet that group of friends again, or you can't wait to have that get together with those family members again, because it was such a light conversation. It was such a good conversation that everyone walked out feeling good and cannot wait to meet up again and have another time like that. There's a lot of health benefits, like I said, less stress or no stress. You feel better on the inside. And you also, if you're feeling better, chances are you're smiling more. And if you're smiling more, it means you're happier. And isn't that what life is about? Feeling naturally happy on the inside. And the way that happens is to avoid these toxic behavior. Because all in all, when it comes to relationship, you have to focus on building your own self, which is working on yourself. But you also have to focus on the people around you, the relationship you have with those people. What type of a relationship it is? Is it toxic? Is it unhealthy? Are these 4 behaviors happening within those relationships? How to prevent it, such as when you're working on yourself, you're building your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-love. When you also learn that these behavior does happen, how to use assertive language to change them, set standards and boundaries, developing and being able to handle constructive criticism, giving it and taking it. And then that way you will start building a healthier relationship with your coworkers, your peers, your family, your friends, your intimate partner, because you will have such a better communication style with them. And through that, your health is improving, your mood is improving, your everything is improving. Overall, your relationship with people is getting better and improving in general. Now, that was a lot of information in just a few minutes, but if you miss these things, listen to this video again and really tune in to why you need to avoid these 4 behaviors, how to change them, and what the benefits are when you change these behavior for yourself. That's the way you're going to have an improved relationship with people around you. Again, don't forget to drop me a comment if you want me to extend more on this topic or focus on one of the specific areas. Like I said, types of communication. Just let me know, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.